Do you know what terrifies more than 75% of the world's population? It's not the fear of death, it's not snakes and spiders, and it's not even clowns or things like zombies. The biggest fear is public speaking. The fear of public speaking is called glossophobia, and this is essentially people that are afraid of giving public talks, speaking in public, or in front of a big crowd. And one thing I want to talk about today is how I faced this fear more than 1,000 different times. From lecturing as a university professor in my early 20s to taking the keynote stages around the world, I've been there and done that with public speaking. And I've learned so much along the way and made a ton of different mistakes. Which I'm going to talk about today is the 3 key takeaways from what I've learned to talking more than 1,000 times publicly and everything I've learned along the way. So that way you don't make any of the same mistakes that I did. Think about it. Your words make a difference. Whether you're giving a speech at your company and that's going to catapult you to the next higher rank, or whether it's at a family and friends event where you're giving a best man speech to one of your favorite people in the world and you're inspiring and sharing stories about your life. Your words matter, they have an impact, and they can inspire millions, dozens, or even just one person to make a change and to make an impact on the world. Words are powerful, and I'm going to show you how you can use them for good in this video. So let's flash back to how I got started with public speaking. It was my sophomore year of university, and one of the only requirements from my dad was to take a public speaking course, even though it wasn't required for my degree. Now, flashing back, this was extremely good advice because it was actually the most helpful course that I took throughout my 5 years of going to university as an undergrad and even throughout my MBA program. Public speaking is important, and if you put the time in, you're going to get a huge ROI from this. Shortly after finishing my semester of public speaking, about a year or so later, I became a professor for the University of Missouri, and luckily, I wasn't as nervous, but showing up to my first day of class, I was luckily prepared, had a little bit of anxiety, but was so over-prepared for this first class that it went really well. Every talk, every speech that I gave, I tried to get 10 to 15% better, and this would extremely compound over time. So today, without further ado, let's dig into the 3 main things I learned from giving over 1,000 different public talks. Starting at number 1, you need to understand your audience, your mission, and the outcome you want to achieve with every talk. It's going to be a lot different for a university lecture, a keynote talk, or even a workshop, or maybe a family dinner. The outcome, the audience, all of these elements are going to change. There's one element that will never change in giving a public talk, and that's you need to prepare. Preparing for your talk or your speech is going to be one of the most important things. And if you've ever gone back to your university or high school days where you just spent all of your time creating a PowerPoint, you show up and then read off the slides, that isn't preparation. You didn't practice, you didn't go over it, you didn't outline every single sentence and word you're going to say during the speech. And this is essentially where most people fail. They don't actually prepare for their talk. For university lectures, I was preparing 5-minute outlines. Every 5 minutes, I knew what I was going to be talking about and the overall goal for that lecture. Have you ever been into some of these lectures where people are just rambling? Now, I don't think those people are as impactful as somebody who goes in, has a solid mission for the talk, breaks down everything in an outline by 5-minute chunks, or even if you're giving a talk on a main stage, breaking down every single word you're going to say. And then that brings us to the next point, is the 3 Ps. This is the most important thing. And you're never going to get good at public speaking unless you implement all 3 of these Ps. Practice, practice, and practice more. You're never going to get good at public speaking unless you actually practice and try to get in the reps. A lot of people just don't do this. They hop on stage, they have an idea what they're going to say, and they go in all these different directions because they haven't practiced, they don't have the reps, and practice is going to give you the confidence to give a good, fulfilling speech. There's a lot of people that give speeches, but there's a lot of people that aren't very good at it. So practicing over time, getting in these reps. And I would say the first 50 talks that I gave were not good. But every time I went in with the mindset, as long as I can get 10 or 15% better, and then my talk started getting really good, when I would go ahead and start practicing everything I'm going to say. And that leads us to our third and final recommendation, and that's the 3 R's: record, rewatch, and revisions. So you should record your talks, watch them over line by line, making notes, figuring out where you get bored. Because when you're getting bored, your audience is bored 5 to 10 minutes earlier than that. Then you need to record all the changes you need to make, and then you're going to make revisions to your speech or your talk. You should do this at least 2 or 3 times, depending on what type of talk you're giving. But if you're just starting off, I recommend doing this for your first 100 talks, because you're going to have exponential growth if you implement all 3 of these areas of public speaking. Now, when you get good at public speaking, you're going to understand that you're going to have more confidence. You're going to be able to read the audience a little bit better. And then you can move on to other advanced speaking techniques like tonality, movements, and other things that you can do to make sure that the audience is actually engaging with you, but better yet, taking action after you've given that talk and actually implementing what you're talking about. How many times have you been to a talk and you're really hyped up during the talk, but you don't actually do anything afterwards? The good speakers get you to jump out of your seat and start implementing what they talked about in their presentation or their talk. So if you learn one thing from this video, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe, because I'm putting out new videos every single day, and you need to turn on the bell notification icon to get alerted about when these new videos come out.